Welcome, everyone, to Arch City Sports, and today we have our first special guest of many these next coming weeks. Today we have the one and only Abbey Hoff. Born and raised in St. Peters, Missouri, she spent her high school years at Incarnate Word, a power program there. She then went to Miami, Ohio for 5 years. She played there, and then she played for the St. Louis Surge here in St. Louis for that women's professional league. She then played overseas for 2 seasons, playing for 3 separate teams. She played for Portugal, where she averaged 14 and 6, Germany, where she averaged 18 points and 10 rebounds, and in Norway, she averaged 14 and 7. In 2023, she won the All-Norwegian second team. In 2024, she averaged 40. She shot 46% from the field. And welcome to the show, the one and only Abbey Hoff. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for the
Very good.
introduction.
Yes. So for people that don't know Abby, we're going to break down her whole career, her path from St. Peters, Missouri to Norway. And then we're also going to just break everything down. High school, college, pro play. And also, before everybody, before we get started here, for anybody that doesn't know, Abby and I are coworkers, so we know each other pretty well. So I've been looking forward to this. I've asked a bunch of people to join the pod, but she was the first one that I asked. So Abby, let's get it going. Growing up as a little girl, was basketball always number one for you? Did you play other sports? What was
Yeah.
kind of your goals growing up?
Yeah, honestly, basketball was not my first sport growing up. When I was younger, it was always basketball, soccer, and softball. And up until high school, soccer was there with basketball. I kind of got away from softball, and I wanted to play both. But once I got to high school, it was time to choose one or the other because they're both all year round when you're playing select. So basketball was the choice for me, especially going to a school like Incarnate. So,
I was gonna say, transitioning into Incarnate, you spent your high school years there. Obviously, a power program for several years. You had a teammate that is one of the best WNBA players in the world right now. What was your experience like at Incarnate? Is there anything you would change from that experience? How'd you like it there?
so it all started. I knew Dan Rolfus because my cousin went there. She was a cheerleader. She played some volleyball. So I was always watching games growing up. Right. I think I started going to games like fourth, fifth grade with my dad, and I fell in love with the dynamic of the team. You could tell they loved each other. The culture of the team was good, and also seeing how the coach, Dan Rolfus, coached them, but always supported them and wanted what was best for them. So once it was time to pick high school, I knew that's where I wanted to go. And that experience, I would say, were the best 4 years of my life. Not only because it shaped me as a basketball player and he helped develop me to where I wanted to go for college, but he also shaped me as a person.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just basketball, and it always has been bigger than basketball. I put BTB on like all of my basketball shoes.
Yep.
But it was an amazing experience, and being able to play with Nafisa Collier, like you said. I mean, she challenged me every single day. She is the most humble, best player that I've ever played with in my entire life, and I was blessed to play with her for 3 out of those 4 years.
You mentioned your coach having an impact on you, not even just with basketball, but outside of basketball. I feel like that's kind of our purpose too, working at our basketball training facility, where we have all these different levels and talents that come in from young to old, and we're having those impact on those students or not students, kids, athletes, every single day. You mentioned Nafisa Collier, and you kind of touched on what I was going to reach on next. Is
Yeah.
her impact on your life? So you said she challenged you. Was she one that kind of pushed you practices and games?
She pushed me without even trying to push me. Like, she is such an unbelievable player, and she makes everyone around her that much better without even trying to. She
Yeah.
was a natural leader, um, and just brought something out of all of us, even out of Rolfus, that I don't think any of us knew that we had.
Hmm.
And it made such a positive impact on us. And because of her good leadership as well, and like the friendships that we all built with her outside of the court, that's what brought us even stronger, only losing 3 games those 3 years. 3 games.
Yep.
So it all carried over from those relationships off the court, and how humble she is. And she's not one of those players like, I'm averaging 25 and no one's like me, whatever. No, it wasn't like that at all. So to be around her and to learn from her and just see her style of play, and yeah, it was just amazing. And she helped me so much on and off the court as well.
She's taking that style of play and now dominating the WNBA, where she's averaging about 22 and 12 a night for the Minnesota Lynx. So
and she'll be in the Olympics this year, so I'm excited to watch.
She's been amazing. But your great high school career, you said 3 losses in 3 years. Now, high school ends. What does it look like coming out of high school? What kind of offers? What decisions did you have to make? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't even think it was going to be possible. Like, going into high school, you just want to do your best and put your best performance on and give 100% effort and practice every day. And I never thought I was going to get all these offers. So starting, I think it was going into junior year, is when those conversations really start happening with coaches, and my parents get involved and are getting calls from coaches and everything during those opening time blocks. And I knew that basketball was my love, but I knew education was main priority, because yes, basketball is my passion, but it's not for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Okay, so wanted to find a good educational program. So talking to Ivy Leagues and going up to Princeton for a camp and getting to have some one-on-one time with that coach. I got to visit Harvard and meet that coach as well. So those were the 2 main Ivies that I liked. But I also loved SLU here at home. And then Miami, Ohio kind of came in at the end, and I loved that it was a public Ivy. I loved that it wasn't too far from home, 5.5 hours, but I could make it that almost perfect distance. I can make it as far as I wanted it to, visit home as much as I wanted, and then also my parents being able to come to games and stuff. And I loved the coaching staff. The assistant coach, Colleen Day, I knew I wanted to play for her. Similar style of Rolfus, and I just knew the culture of the team was really, really strong as well. So I knew that was going to be my home. So I signed there going into my senior year.
You answered the next kind of part of this interview. Is I was going to ask what called you to Miami. You kind of broke that all down. Was it one of those like last second decisions? Is it something you had to kind of weigh, or is it like Harvard, Princeton, you visited them and then you got Miami and everybody else kind of didn't matter? It was just Miami. Is it one of those things, or did you have to weigh those decisions?
No, I think there's pros. I like to do pros and cons, obviously, of every situation I go into and decision that I make, especially a big one like this. And the difference, I don't know if you know, but with Ivy Leagues, it's like a calculator almost based off of your parents' tuition, and it's not a full ride scholarship. And it's always also 18 hours away from home, both of the destinations, right? So then I was looking at SLU, which is at home, and I'm like, is it too close to home? Am I just comfortable? And then with Miami, like I said, with the perfect distance and having that full ride scholarship, I definitely had written down. I remember me and my mom writing a pros and cons list of all of these schools, and we had them all side by side. So I wouldn't say it was a last minute decision. I think it was very thought out, and that's how I went about it.
That's one of those things. You are definitely blessed to have parents and family that are there to make those decisions with you. I know there's a lot of situations where the athlete has to make their decision on their own. Spending 5 years at Miami, though, you said that you got drawn to Miami, but now being there for 5 years, did you enjoy it? Did you love your time there? Do you think you made the right decision?
Yeah, you go into a school and you hope that the coaches say all the right things to you when you sign there, right? You're going to have a great 4 years, and we can't wait to see the impact that you make. And going there my freshman year, it was hard because background on Miami, Ohio, they were struggling a bit, and they wanted to bring in freshmen that could make that impact. And it just didn't end up that way for me. I mean, I fought every day. Rolfus taught me how to work super, super hard, and I loved my teammates, and we had such a great chemistry off the court. But on the court, maybe we didn't have all the right pieces, and we worked as hard as we could, but our record, okay, wasn't very good, and I didn't make the impact that I wanted to. So after my freshman year, my coaching staff actually got fired, which was heartbreaking. And then here comes the pros and cons list. A new coach coming in, I already started my degree going into business marketing. It's like, do you want to start over and go to a new school, or do you want to stay with your team and just let a new coach come try to put the pieces together that we had?
Yep.
And so new coach came in. It was her first year as a head coach. And we had the same exact team as we did the year prior. And preseason was looking great. The summer, it was tough. Let me tell you, it was a different dynamic in that sense. But it was really, really good. And then we had an exhibition game. I got a lot of playing time. I was very happy with what my role was going to be that year. And 3 days later, I tore my ACL. So from being at like an all-time high, and you like see what the future will hold for you, and you're almost at that place of where you knew you could be, and then it's all just taken from you. I had never had a major injury growing up, so this one, it was really hard, because it's not only basketball being taken away from you, but then when you're not in practice, you're not on the court, you're not going through everything with everyone, so it's hard to relate in that sense.
Yeah, the chemistry part.
Yeah, all of that. So I guess that whole year just going through rehab and everything, I had the best athletic trainer in the world. Jennifer Beardsley is still my go-to person for a lot of stuff to this day. And some backstory, she actually went to Incarnate Word, and she's from St. Louis.
Okay,
which is crazy.
Right on.
Yeah, so she helped me through everything, worked my way back into that next summer, my junior year, and we had the same coaching staff, but because I was gone that entire year, it's almost like they built it without me.
Yes.
So it's like trying to find my spot and just work and work and work. And it was hard. It's really hard. So you have everything set in your eyes of what you want it to look like, and it's like nothing is going my way. So then I almost lost my passion a little bit, and it's like, okay, I just got to get through this and keep working, but I also need to keep set on my focus, my education as well. So continuing to keep a 4.0 even through these hard times, and then battling and continuing to fight throughout my junior year. Just when you think things are going to be good for that next year, boom, coaching staff decides to leave because she did so well with our team that she ended up getting promoted to go to Marquette. So my fourth year, third coaching staff, but only third year of playing. So I'm a freshman. I'm a freshman.
My goodness.
And also to think about new coaching staff means new dynamic for them. New plays, new culture with what they want. Everything is different. And they're also bringing in recruits of their style.
Yes.
So then by my fourth year, you have 3 different combinations all combined trying to be a team together and into this new coach's style.
Yes.
So it wasn't easy. It was hard. So my 4th and 5th year, those last 2, it was a grind continuously. That 5th year that I played, I decided to do my red shirt and play for the third coaching staff for the 2nd year. I end up hurting my knee again, and I also tear my labrum in my shoulder. So I tear my labrum, I think it was in December, like right after Christmas, maybe even January. And I was supposed to be out for a while, but in my head, I'm thinking, after this, I'm finishing my master's right now, and then I'm going to be in the real world, and I'm done with basketball. So if I only have 2 to 3 months left, I am pushing through. I'm not getting surgery. I want to finish these last few weeks, few months with my team and finish on the highest note that I can. So almost maybe 5, 6 weeks later is when I get a bone contusion in the same knee that I tore my
Oh my
ACL.
gosh.
Yeah, so I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I have that shoulder brace on that I'm
Yep.
wearing, and then everything with my knee. I was like, Jennifer Beardsley, I called her Beards. I was like, I cannot sit these last 5 weeks out. She was like, this is a 6-week process. Nope, not happening.
Yeah.
Cortisone shot, we're draining it. We are doing everything that we can just to let me finish out the year. So I did that. I battled through another unsuccessful season, but I was just happy to be with my seniors and my girls, and we did it together. But then I had my second surgery then after season and cleaned it all up. But
Is
that
what
was my
kept
college career.
is what kept you at Miami with all the adversity and all the changes and challenges you faced from, like you said, injuries and coaching changes, is what kept you there, the schooling aspect? Because this is 2021 when you graduated, right?
21,
So
yeah.
this is much different than 2024, where everybody's transferring all over the place. If any type of playing time is not there for them, they're gone. Or if there's any coaching
Yeah,
change, they're gone.
right.
So is the schooling of Miami and maybe the relationships you built with teammates, is that what kept you there? Because I
Yeah.
think, like I said, a lot of people would be leaving.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ever since I've been done with college, like seeing the transfer portal, it's crazy to me. So many things have changed ever since COVID. So that last year was COVID year, right? So
Yep.
we're wearing the masks, everything. It's not a normal, typical season.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say 100% it was the relationships that I had and also the education that I was getting. I mean, I was able to get my bachelor's in marketing and my master's in kinesiology science, specialize in sports management for free. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
who knows if I would have transferred, would I still be able to transfer all of those credits and everything, all those classes? I feel like it could have been messy. And I'm very religious as well, so I knew it was part of God's plan to, it's never going to be just like this. He's
No.
going to give you some challenges, and it's just going through adversity. It's how you respond to it. And I didn't want to take the easy route, is what in my head it would have been, to just, let me just get away from everything. So.
And what you kind of just touched on is why I'm going to love doing all of these interviews, because nobody has that just straight path.
Man,
So
nobody.
you had all these different obstacles. The Cardinals players I have coming up the next couple weeks, they all have different paths, from playing at lower levels, independent league type stuff, and like everybody goes their own way. And for you, dealing with injuries and coaching changes, and you thinking, maybe my career's over, to playing overseas. So talk about that. Playing for the St. Louis Surge for 2 years, right?
Yep.
Two seasons, and then going and playing in Portugal, Germany, Norway. How does that all come about after the college obstacles that you faced?
Yeah, so like I said, like after those two injuries, my 5th year, I was thinking that senior night and those last couple of games in the MAC tournament, like that was going to be the end of my career. So after I graduated, I ended up spending the summer just traveling and spending time with family and everything. And then I ended up getting a full-time job working here in St. Louis with Cintas, which is Fortune 500, great company. And it was a grind job, but I loved it. I stayed there for a year, but also while I was working, I was still training kids because, I got to keep basketball part of my life in some way. So training kids and still building these connections with different families. I knew that maybe there was still a chance that I wanted to play. Being away from it for exactly a year, it was hard. It was a hard transition, but I stayed so busy to keep my mind focused on the present instead of a what could be, what if.
Yep.
But I got an opportunity to play for the Surge that following summer, so the summer of 2022. And just being on the court with a team again after a year of not playing basketball really at all, and not getting many opportunities to be on the court that summer and playing in game, but just that grind and just having a team, having a family, and being a part of something was so special. And it gave me that spark all over again. So after season was over, I actually signed with an agent and he found me an opportunity in Norway. And I went to my boss about 3 days later at Cintas and I was like, this happened 3 days ago. And I just want to let you know, it happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me straight up, he was like, you have to, we're going to miss you, but this is an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, you have to take it. So I had about 4 or 5 days after that conversation left with them. And then I had 2 weeks just to spend with family and pack my bags and move to Norway and start playing my professional career.
My goodness.
And going from playing in the U.S. and with the Surge, it's only about a 10-week season.
Okay.
So you have to think, like, I played in college for 4 out of my 5 years, okay? Took a year off, then I played for 10 weeks, and then I'm moving and I'm playing professionally. So that transition for me, mentally, physically, everything, it was like I had to switch gears. Like, it's go time. Like, I'm back in my passion, I'm back doing what I love, and I get to explore the world.
Exactly.
So being there and building the relationships I did in Norway, I was able to play and I was also able to coach 2 different clubs. And I had about 6 teams that I helped with.
Right on.
Still talk to them to this day. So outside, yes, it's about basketball, but it's also, for me, my why is to be able to make an impact on people around me, a positive impact, and just make my mark a little bit, you know?
Yep.
And I feel like I did that there. I still talk to my Norway girls about every week, checking on them, how they're doing. We have a group chat. And I went and visited them last year while I was playing in Germany as well. So that's outside of basketball. But basketball-wise, never been a super selfish player, and I've never been the main person on a team. Okay, so when you go over there, they bring 1 or 2 Americans, and they have expectations for you. Like, you need to do this. It's a job. If you don't do what we need you, you're gone. You're on to the next, right? So having to learn how to be more selfish on the court, it was hard for me. It's like, okay, I had 14 points, but coach isn't happy. But in my eyes, in college, if I had 14, I'm like, it was a good night, you know?
Sure.
But finding that and having a really good relationship with the other American, we lived in an apartment together. After every practice, after every game, we would break it down and say, okay, we'd watch film. What could we have done more? What could we have done differently? You know, what did we do good? And continue to build. And I think for my first season, I came out very, very proud of myself and happy because it's a huge leap of faith. Not just going to Miami, Ohio, 5 hours away, right? But I'm going to an entirely different country doing this on my own.
Yeah.
So to do that my first year and average, I think it was 14-7, 14-6. It was a great experience, and I knew I wanted to do it for another year.
Yeah. No, so two years of overseas play. I mentioned this in the intro. 3 different teams, 3 different countries. Was it? Were you starting in Norway? Was that the first one?
Yeah, so Norway was my first year.
So Norway averaged 14-7. Germany averaged 18 points and 10 rebounds. And then you said off air, I guess, their season ended. They were not going to make the playoffs. And then so you went to Portugal?
Yeah, so after Norway, I came home and played for the Surge again last summer. And then I had an opportunity to play in Germany. So I played in Germany. Personally, I think my season was going much better. I was more consistent with my scoring, with my rebounding overall on the floor. But our team just wasn't successful, and we weren't able to make playoffs or go on to the next round. And we knew that before it even started, I guess, based on our record. So I had an agent transition in November. of my Germany season, so this past year. And so talking with her through everything that I'd been through and like how season was going, our communication was so good. And she had told me towards the end of Germany season, there's an opportunity to go help this team in Portugal in the top league in Madeira Island. And I think you should take it. So it was an uncomfortable conversation to have with my Germany team to not finish that last month with them and to leave to go to a different team. Um, and but it was best for me, so I think they understood that, and I had a conversation with my coach, and then getting an opportunity in the top league and get a taste of that because I was in the second league in Germany, it felt really good. So going from a hard year, not winning any games, having a little bit off team chemistry, and then getting an opportunity to play in a really good league, finish the season strong on a high. It was a blessing. It really was.
Well, you playing in the second league in Germany, averaging 18 and 10, you go up to League One in Portugal, 14 and 6 is not too shabby. That's not a huge drop off there. So talent might have been tougher around you, but it didn't have a big impact on your game. So through all of your career, you're still only 26 years old. I mean, I know you have some decisions to make these next few weeks, so you don't have to share anything that's in-house. But I don't know. I always like ending the interview with what's next for the athlete, so our audience and your audience listening can hear, where you're going from now. And you might not even know, but if you had to guess, what's next for Abbey Hoff?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are a few things to consider, I guess, going forward for my future. But I know for sure basketball will be a part of it. Whether that's going and playing another season overseas, or if that opportunity doesn't come, then that's continuing my why here, continuing to make an impact and be a role model for youth players in my city. And who know, I don't know. So ask me in about 3 weeks when we're at work. You'll know more. But I do know that basketball will always be a part of my life in some way.
Well, you've had a amazing impact on me at work, on the people around us at work, coworkers, athletes that come in. You have all these connections to overseas that I know you're having a huge impact on them. You're one of the most positive people I've been around, and it's really nice to work with you and be around you every day. But I cannot thank you enough for joining us, being the first of many athletes to join these next couple weeks. I don't think we could have started it with a better one to start. So thank you, Abbey, so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much.